Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, or team up against a guest and battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 2. So our choice then for actor-director films is Police Story. The great Jackie Chan directed and starred in this one. I think he directed all 3 Police Story films. I mean, other films that were in contention, like a lot of Clint Eastwood stuff.
Yeah.
Like Unforgiven is great. I know your original choice, Gary, was $1 Million Baby, but unfortunately we couldn't watch that because it doesn't stream over here, which is a shame.
That's all right.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood's done some great stuff.
I almost picked Matilda
Matilda.
with Danny DeVito because he directed that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do like a lot of Clint Eastwood films where he's in, mainly the westerns. Yes, Unforgiven, but there's like Pale Rider's a great one. The Outlaw Josie Wells is a fantastic one as well. But we went for a bit of a left field choice with Police Story, just because Jackie Chan, like his early stuff, is just really good from an action point of view.
Yeah.
So, Boaz, what happens in Police Story?
Yeah, so Police Story has Jackie Chan as a policeman in the Chinese police force. They stop a gangster who's like a big drug dealer in a huge sting operation, and they catch him. The superintendent has an idea to get his secretary, which they also captured, and to let her go, but to have her testify as the main witness in the case that they're going to have against this gangster. Jackie Chan is tasked with providing protection for her, and protecting her from, the gangsters' minions who, want to silence her and stuff. On top of that, he's got to, juggle, his girlfriend and, work and just a bunch of other crap.
Juggle phones.
And phones, yeah. Yeah, so that's the main plot of the film, is him providing protection and trying to bring down this gangster. I think it comes to a head about halfway through the film where she betrays them and then runs away and is still in danger, and he goes kind of vigilante mode. He's going to do this his way. Yeah.
Cool. What did we make of this one? Initial reactions, Gary?
I've got to say, I struggled with this one at first.
Yeah.
All right.
I heard of Jackie Chan's Police Story. I didn't know, even what tone or genre it was going to take. And watching it, I was like, I didn't know what tone or genre it was.
Still don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's one of those ones where comedy is one of the hardest things to translate over language and culture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think so. So one of my favourite scenes in it was the court scene, right? And how the lawyer twisted Jackie Chan's words. But it was very serious. Jackie Chan plays it very serious. And then it just turns into this comical, almost slapstick by the end. And I'm like, how am I meant to feel?
Yeah, where they play the recording, and it sounds like he's having sex with the girl, and he's like that running.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, no, I definitely get that. There are such like changes into the the feel of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And just in one scene, that it gives you like tonal whiplash. It nearly breaks your neck.
Yeah,
it becomes like the most unserious sort of like Sunday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Into like it's deadly serious. He's going to kill these guys, and they're going around killing people, and this is serious. I didn't like that at all. Actually, I did feel that was I
also think as well, and this is why I'm saying I don't know how I feel about the film, is because there's a cultural barrier. I'm not going to call it a barrier, actually, a cultural difference. And then you've got this really harsh switch between tones, but also the full film is dubbed. So, like, maybe one of those actors, and we can't know because it's a foreign language film, is...
I didn't see it in the dub, so I can actually give you...
subtitles, yeah.
So you watched it with them speaking Chinese, but with
Yep.
English. Yeah, but that's also still dubbed.
Is it really?
Yeah. This time in Chinese cinema, everything was recorded as silent films, and then they dubbed over the voices. So when this was first released, it wasn't Jackie Chan. That's not Jackie Chan's voice.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. He does sound a lot different.
Yeah, and I found that really... So I struggled with that before I even got into the tones of the film.
Yeah, I think that was my least of my worries. Like, one was the tonal shifts, which I really I didn't like. So I might shit on this film quite a bit actually, which is a shame because I really wanted to like it because I like Jackie Chan. Yeah, man, it wasn't what I was expecting. So one was the tonal shifts. Two, there was a huge period in the middle where it just slowed right the fuck down. Like, I didn't know. It's like it lost track of where the plot was going. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's just meandering for a long ass time.
I think for me, like, I think there are definitely tonal shifts and some of the humor doesn't work. And I think certainly one scene I talked about in screenplay where they should have tried something different. But from an action point of view, this film is insane.
Yes,
the action is great. No, this is the thing. I'm going to commend the action.
It's great and insane.
I'm going to commend the action a lot, but I think and it's like it's Jackie Chan. That's what I expect.
Yeah,
but I think I have some serious problems with the script and a lot of how the non-action stuff was done. Like, one thing that fucking infuriated me was one camera trick that he uses way too much. And when I saw it a first couple of times, I thought it was pretty cool. And I don't see it that often, but it was where he basically has, a setup shot, which is, kind of a wide shot with, say, two people in the same thing. And he started the film doing this. And I thought it was cool when they're, trying to spy on the meeting. And you'll get these wide shots, so you've got the gangsters and stuff, and then it'll zoom in, and there's a guy, and he's the secret agent, and I like that. And they just did that so much. I don't know why he kept doing that.
I didn't mind that. I thought it was good.
I know. I didn't like it because sometimes it didn't feel necessary. It's like he's talking in the office, and then they'll do that. They'll zoom into one character. I'm like, why?
It's like when drones became a thing. And every short film you watched had so many drone shots that were unnecessary. But it's like, look, we can fly overhead with a camera now.
Yeah.
So I felt like this was like, we can do this push in, this zoom push.
This zoom push in, which is really great. And it focuses on this other character and it makes everything else out of focus. I love that shot. But then he was just doing it constantly. I'm like, why?
Have you ever seen The Grey Man? They go very obsessed with drone shots in that, where it's just ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God, stop with the drone shots for no reason.
Yeah, but sometimes it's one of those things where there's too much of a good thing. Like, you see something, it's like, telling the same joke again and again. It's like, there's a few times where, this is the best joke ever. You keep doing it. It's like, get some new material, do something else. So I didn't like that shot and how it was so overused, like that style. When really cuts would have sufficed.
So the opening action scene I thought was really well constructed for me. I liked how precise a lot of the camera movements were in establishing where everyone was. Then the action starts off with like a little shootout in the slums, fairly tame at first, and then the gunfire gets more and more intense until they get in their cars and the drug gang discover the roads are blocked and they drive through the slums downhill and they're literally destroying everything in their path.
That was crazy. The entire houses, just everything.
Yeah, in some of the wide shots, it's like the sandworm in Dune, where you can't even see the cars, but all you see is like a wave of rubble as the cars come down the hill. And there's several occasions where you think it's finished, but yet more cars come down. There's one red car that is plowing through like these yellow and red materials and fencing at a fairly slow pace, and then comes rocketing down through a building onto the grass. That felt quite jarring, but it was amazing, especially the impact when it hits the road. You're like, holy crap, that was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. There's so much stuff. I like that whole first fight scene. I thought that was great. There's a lot of great stuff set up, and I like even some of the jokes and stuff. I think it's got a huge blend of stuff, like where one of the officers, he's shit scared, and he turns out of his covering, place to fire at somebody, and fires at a mirror reflection of himself. And I thought that was awesome. There's so much going on, and that's really, really funny. And what was it? I liked the bus chase. I thought that was great. That was amazing. And you really did think he was going to lose them each time. I loved how that was progressing. And I loved the effect where the bus stops when he's, he fires the thing, and just it stops like right in front of his face, and they all just fly out of the bus. That was cool. I really do like that.
Yeah, I think I really liked the bus scene as well. The way that was filmed was great as well. I think, who is the director that did The Good, the Bad and the Ugly and stuff?
Sergio Leone.
Yeah, I think it was heavily influenced by Sergio Leone with that bus scene, because the bus was like another character coming towards him, and he was standing in the middle of the road. Then it cuts to like the close up of his eyes, those Western. It was like a Western scene with a bus, like a Western standoff with a bus.
Yeah, and I like how he pulled back the thing and spilled out all of the used cartridges, put it on the new one. Spins the revolving bit. Aims. It is very Western like. I like that.
Totally.
But again, like, I don't think that really fits tonally with what just happened.
No, again, I think this is one problem that I'm going to constantly come up with the direction of this film. The tone is a problem. It is a serious problem. And I do wish he would either change if you're going to change the tone, change it like a funny scene, a serious scene, and, maybe like a stylized scene. Or just pick one tone. But I think it jumps around way too much, and it does just feel a lot,
I realised what I was watching, and it took me this long, was like, because I loved all that kind of like spy stuff at the start that was spoke about, then the bus scene, the scene where I went, right, this is switching tones drastically every now and again, was, I'm going to call it the Michael Myers scene, where they get the cop to fake that she's going to come in. Because at first I thought this was someone breaking into kill her, and I'm like, why is he doing all this? Like he's like dancing,
and he's like trying to hide his face, and there are moments where he could easily kill this fucking woman, and he's still doing extra stuff. And I was like, no, this is weird.
And I was like, this is so weird. And then I realised that when Jackie Chan's trying to pretend that he's still alive and get him out of the house, I was like, I got it now. Because what's interesting, and I'm not want to shit on the film, but I'm going to compare it to like Rush Hour. Rush Hour has serious moments and a lot of funny moments. And this film just, I don't know, it just couldn't, it wasn't tight enough with that, I think, is the problem.
Yeah, I don't think it clicks many of the scenes quite right. I think even with Rush Hour, there's a serious scene, and a funny thing can happen in the serious scene. But I think with this, you have scenes which are meant to be serious, but then the scene changes into a funny scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It like completely It's not that something funny is happening in this serious scene. It's like, no, now it's become a parody and it's become a farce, right away. And I think it does that way too often. It's just a bit of a problem. And I said I would rather like you either have a serious scene or you have a funny scene. And even when you're doing the serious scene, you can have funny moments. So again, one of the ones I quite liked was the mirror one. Now, that doesn't change the scene. The scene is still, they are being shot at, but it's a funny moment that happens in it. But when you do stuff like, I guess like, the court one, where it kind of just does become a bit of a parody at the end. When like this is established to be an incredibly important trial. Even at the beginning, they treat it funny, and then it's established to be an incredibly important trial, and then it turns into a farce.
Let's put sex noises on it. That'll do. That scene you were talking about, Gary, where Jackie Chan is kind of bored protecting this witness, and this guy, his friend, comes in. You don't know he's his friend at the time, wildly missing very deliberately and missing very clearly, and you're like, this looks terrible, what the hell is going on? And then you find out that Jackie Chan is trying to talk to him, like, go now, whatever, and then she knocks him out, and then it kind of becomes funny and like, oh, okay, I get what's going on there. I just feel like that should have been structured a little differently. Like, we should have known that the guy is his friend from the start, because the opening of that action looks stupid. And then also it goes straight into a really awesome action scene, and then straight into
with his girlfriend and stuff. And I thought that whole misunderstanding comedy of his girlfriend not understanding went for way too many scenes. I think you could just do one. Like, she misunderstands, it's hilarious. But then you get her misunderstanding in the, that he's with this witness. Then you get she's actually in the apartment, and another misunderstanding, he's talking bad about her. And then you get another misunderstanding when the girl finds out about the false break-in and does this kind of weird stuff to make him say like really raunchy shit. And I don't know. It was a bit much, like one after the other.
So like Alfred Hitchcock talks about how like there's a scene with two men at a table, and we as an audience see that there's a bomb under the table. So now we are like waiting for that bomb to go off. So it's suspense. Now, if we don't see the bomb and the bomb goes off, that's surprise. And what I think's weird with this is that scene that we're talking about, the Michael Myers scene, is we should have known, and it should have been tension, rather than we shouldn't have been surprised that he was like in with Jackie Chan. But he does it great at another point. I think it's actually before it, where the police captain, Jackie Chan's boss, tells all the police officers and the lawyers and stuff to go, but he wants to speak to the witness. So she stays in the room, and then I think he just like starts reading his paper.
Yeah,
and we are wondering, why is she still there? What's going on? But then they just wanted to pull her back as if they've fed her information, or she's gave them information, but nothing's actually happened, and it's just to apply pressure to the gangsters so that they start wondering why she was held back. And that was great writing. That was really good.
Yeah, I did like that bit. I will agree with that. Yeah. I think they could have even done an extra scene on that with the main gangster of just like, did she say anything? Well, he did hold her back, and it's like, oh, but I at least can't remember them doing that. But I do remember the underlings, and her lawyer was asking that. Actually, her lawyer was like, why did they hold you back? I would have liked maybe if he had told the boss.
Again, like in that last action scene, Jackie Chan is so good at like building up the scale of the action. In like most American action films, like the first major stunt in this would be like the climax of that film, but not Jackie Chan. He starts with like himself leaping onto the escalator, taking out a guy. Then there's a great moment where he's like slowly walking towards these goons, getting ready to fight. Then the witness gets attacked from behind. So there's a little bit of playing with expectations there from Chan, which I quite liked. Then he adds like incredible like creativity with props. There's a moment where like Jackie Chan somehow twirls around a clothesline and kicks someone through a very nice shoe display, which was a shame. Then the next martial arts fight is so quick and brutal with like great use of slow-mo. What's amazing is that every move and every blow is so clear from the cuts and camera work. You somehow know exactly what's going on. Then how does Jackie Chan up the ante? He breaks more glass with people. And then a guy with a motorbike jumps over him. How there's a motorbike in there, I don't know. Then he rides the guy through more planes of glass with the motorbike. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Then just drops the ball with just jumps on a pole and slides down it. I'm like, oh, that was bad.
Yeah, man, there was some incredible choreography. It feels like that last fight scene I'd have to watch 10 times to even understand everything. Like and there was so much. I think what I really love about Jackie Chan fight scenes in general is the innovation.
Oh yeah,
it's not just punches and kicks and elbows, but he'll use the environment. He uses absolutely everything. Uses mannequins. He'll use walls. He'll pick up anything, tables, chairs. And it's really inventive how he does that stuff. I like when he was involved in that huge, where they drop a display case on him.
Yeah. I feel like that was a mistake. I felt like the glass was supposed to smash or something. And they're like, okay, let's make that work by like someone just pulling it down.
But also like him just like throwing people over balconies. I love that one bit because I thought it was so visceral, where the guy punched him into a plain glass window and it cuts to the other side. His face smashes into it, and then he keeps going and he's like picking up things. I thought, the fight scenes were great.
One of the parts I remember in this that I thought was really good was the use of the clothing rail. It's like a clothes rail, and he uses that to fight with and gets like the guy stuck in it. But then Jackie Chan spins in it to get to his next opponent. Like
Yeah.
he slides along, stuff like that.
insane.
And there's a part where he kicks the person over the balcony, and he lands in like the part in between the two
yeah.
escalators
Yeah.
and slides down that. Yeah,
Yeah. And I thought it's amazing as well. You have like bits of, the ceilings coming down and being used as weapons and, like knocking people through the floor and the walls. It was such a brutal fight scene and so inventive and just really colourful. Just so much going on. You're like, man, that must have cost a ton. Another fight scene I want to draw attention to is the car fight scene where after he accidentally thinks he's ran into like a baby or something, then it turns out to be, it's a doll and there's loads of gangsters. And I fucking love that fight as well because, you have a car that comes in to try and run him over and he like jumps above that car onto his car. And you're like, my God, a car collision in the middle of a fight. You've got all of this fighting going on and him using the doors of the car to kick the shit out of people. Like opening up the doors, slamming their heads into the doors. He takes off one of the doors like off its hinges by hitting, hits the guy into the door, and the door comes off its hinges. It's stuff like that where you're like,
even the parts where he's like hanging off the bus at the start and he's fighting the guys inside the bus.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, he was using a girl's was it trolley, like a umbrella. Because he was like, I need this. And I'm like, what is he going to do with that? And he's like,
I do wonder, like, how many times he actually tries that to make it work, I suspect they didn't have much time at all.
But it's one of those things. You go, oh, they probably didn't have much time. But you're like, holy crap, the choreography and the amount of stuff that got destroyed. If this was like in a Western studio, this would have taken, I don't know, this would have taken 6-7 months of practicing and then God knows how long to shoot. And then when you fuck up, like all of that stuff has to be reset. I have a feeling he might be so good at his job that one, he doesn't care if, he or other people get hurt. So, what's training? Let's just do this. And I think he probably is making some of this up on the fly. And I think some of this is not props. They might actually be real. And somebody could actually seriously get hurt.
Well, there's a moment when the bus stops really sharp. The guys in the top were supposed to land on the car, but they actually land on the floor. They were supposed to land on the car to soften the blow, I guess, but they just landed straight on the ground, and Jackie Chan just carried on the scene before checking if they were all right.
But it's just one of those things. I think, a Western studio, this would have cost like maybe 10 times as much as what he made these scenes for and would have taken a lot longer because of worries about insurance and trying to make sure the stars didn't get brutally murdered and, all this other stuff. And it feels like he can just like cook this up and fucking do it. And it looks good.
I think my favorite shot has to be that last stunt. It was just pretty insane where Jackie Chan falls like 70 feet down this pole, breaking all the lighting rigs, falls through the glass and is just cushioned by boxes, I think. It's just mad. Even Tom Cruise today would think you were crazy to do that. What I love is because the stunt is so impressive, Jackie Chan has the confidence to play the stunt like 3 times from different angles to fully appreciate what just happened. Normally you would cut all those different shots to create like one round view of the stunt happening once. For most directors, it wouldn't even come into their minds to like play the stunt 3 times over in its entirety. Yeah. What a stunt.
Yeah, that was a hell of a stunt. I will say that I do kind of disagree with playing it several times.
Really?
Like, to me, I don't know. Okay. Nothing in the film had done that at any point. That was a bit distracting. But I do realize the stunt was insane. And I think he did get seriously injured doing that.
Yeah.
So obviously he's like, you've got to watch what I fucking did to my body. But I don't know. To me, I think that draws too much. I think, to me, I'm going to take a point off that because I think it draws too much attention to the stunt.
Harsh.
No, it does. To me, it does draw too much attention to the stunt of like, this is an incredible stunt rather than,
What do you feel about that? Why Jackie Chan chose to do it that way, Gary?
I think he just wants to get it as natural. Well, I can't really say it's natural, not like the stuff he does, but he wants to get it as like natural as possible and be using shots like that. There's no room for error, if that makes sense. Like you can't exactly fake it. So one of my favourite shots in it, and it's because I don't know how they did it, is when he throws the witness off the roof into the pool.
Oh yeah,
and it is a wide shot. It is a complete, like, it's a close up as he like runs with her to it, and then it cuts to this massive wide shot. So you can see where the roof is, and the distance to that pool looks like at least 200 meters away or something like that. And she lands in the pool.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did the rest of the film with like 2 other actresses and they didn't make it to that point. They just went splat, and he's gonna like get another actress. We'll film the whole movie from scratch.
Yeah, I think Jackie Chan's all his direction was just run and jump. That's all you need to do. Just run and jump. It's like far away.
Fall.
What are you crazy?
Did you watch some of the end credits?
Oh yeah,
because it showed you like the behind the scenes. Like he's always got his top off, but at not one scene did he actually have his top off in the film. So it was like, was that just to get into like a different persona as a director?
Maybe,
he's like when t-shirts on, actor, t-shirts off, directing.
It must be more stressful actually just directing the film than actually performing the stunts.
I'm too hot. I'm sweating.
I would say one stunt that I thought was kind of like unnecessary, and it was played for laughs, but I don't even think it was that funny. Is the one with his car where it doesn't have a handbrake, so he tells her to like hold it, and then she doesn't hold it, and then he's on the phone, and then it comes careening down and crashes into the.
I liked it.
I didn't like it. I thought, 1, it's an obvious joke, and 2, Jesus Christ, that looked quite expensive. That's like a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Like, do that for a fight scene. I just thought it was kind of weird.
It was funny.
I didn't think it was that.
Do you find it funny, Gary?
I liked it. I mean, but
there you go.
Yeah. This is the thing with this film, right? Not to go back on it again, but the whole tonal shift thing. I big fan of Jackie Chan. I know he's known as the comedy action kind of kung fu star, so I'm all for that. But I thought what I was getting here was a gritty Jackie Chan starting out police detective story with some kung fu. And so if that was in like something like, I don't know, Shanghai Noon or whatever it was called that he did, or Rush Hour, then I'd be like, yeah, this fits in here. And I think that's the problem. It's like maybe the scene right before it was so serious, and we're like, yeah. So I liked it. I did like it. Yeah.
Favorite shot or scene, Boaz?
I would say like maybe the whole last fight.
Okay.
I think the bit in the fights and stuff where I was like, holy shit, this is next level. What was the one with the car doors?
Yeah.
And just how he pushed a dude straight through one of the doors and like took the door off. I was like, yeah. To me, I was like, oh my god. Directing
score, Gary, what are you going for?
Okay, I'm going to go for 7 out of 10. And the fact that I know that in China then they were dubbing like films, so that's fine. But what annoys me is he's a co-writer on this. He's directed it. He's starred in it. And then I read after it that he was too busy to do the audio dub. And I'm like, you're not committed to your project. So you're losing a point for that as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it would have been better if he had dubbed his own lines.
I think later on he did. I think he went back, so there is a version with him. But if you go to just rent it, like I rented it on Amazon Prime, and it was like not his voice.
I think for me, for directing, it's by far the best element for me in this film. Just in terms of the action, is just incredibly remarkable with what Jackie Chan has achieved here. So before this podcast, I was thinking in the 9s, but I really like the directing here, especially that final fight in the supermarket, the mall place. It's so slick, like a 9 point. I don't know. I know. What do you think about us then?
What do I think? Man, I think we're diametrically opposed. Views of the film. Like again, I like the action. I'm not doubting that, and every compliment I say is on the action. But the rest of it, I'm just not sure about it. Yeah. I just have some issues with it. I have issues with the comedy. I don't think a lot of it was that funny. With the pacing of it and some of the camera techniques, again. Some things are overused where I'm like, why? It just really took me out of it.
Is that, though, a sign of the times, those camera moves, rather than...
Possibly.
Like, yeah, it might have been overkill, but maybe it was just because at that point you didn't have so many tracking shots. It was like, that's how you got a nice close-up is when you went, crashed them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's certain shots that we used over and over again where I'm like, just try something a little new. So there are niggles that I have with the rest of the movie.
8.5, meet in the middle.
I could. If I'm going to be like seriously honest, my initial feelings towards this film are like pretty mixed. Well, actually pretty low, but like I like the fights, and that's about it, really.
Oh. But I feel like you come into these films and watch these films for the fights only. I know that's very silly to say, but
yeah. But then what do I do? What do I do in the padding time in between?
Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of just part of like the Hong Kong cinema type of movie that I can accept that a bit more, I guess. But
right. Like, I would say for the action scenes, I would give it a 9. For the rest of the film, Jesus Christ! Like, if I would have just take it on its own merits, I didn't think it was that funny. A lot of direction techniques that I didn't really like. Man, I would go pretty damn low. I would go like a 6.
Let's do 7.5 then.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
For me, it's 9.3. Screenplay. I think some of the pacing, it does sag. You're definitely right, you guys. Like with the whole comedy scene with his girlfriend and then the courtroom scene isn't the most compelling. It's a little funny when they play the tape and it's the witness trying to seduce Jackie Chan. There is some clever writing there, where the prosecutors tried to pin the arrest on Jackie Chan, that he was in the wrong and the drug lord gets off on bail. But I don't think that's enough to entertain you before the next action scene, because that's what you want in these types of films. For me, you want to be seeing these amazing action scenes. And if the story isn't going to be complex when the action isn't going on, it better be great. But I don't think it is. Then the subsequent scene where like Jackie Chan is like juggling all these phone lines in the police station is great, but it's great, physical comedy acting from Jackie Chan, but it felt like it was the only really there to be funny and not really to service the story.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the plot.
Yeah. And I guess there's just more development in their relationship with his girlfriend, but that's it.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Like the juggling thing, I do agree. I thought it's entertaining. It was quite funny, and it's really skillful. You're like, wow. But I did not see the point of it.
That is interesting because when it comes down to like favourite scene or like performance, like I know he's going to the acting, that is probably my favourite performance scene. So it's more about the stunt work than the acting. But I think the scene really works like visually.
Yeah, definitely.
And the editing on it really works. Yeah. But because we're talking about the writing at the moment,
doesn't need to be there.
It doesn't need to be there. But also the jokes in it, like the women are phoning are like, I'm getting raped.
That nearly knocked me down flat. Where like one guy, one is saying like, I've been beaten or something, and another one like, I've lost my cow and I've been raped. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, totally.
You're making a joke about rape? I was like, Jesus Christ.
We just spoke about Rocky 2 and how there's that scene in it where it's like, we're talking about how like women should stay at home and cook and the men should go to work, and we were like, that might not fit in a contemporary thing. This wouldn't have fitted back then.
This doesn't fit anyway. Yeah, I thought that that written joke was fucking crazy, and especially like. Like I think he gets the wrong one where he was like, "You've been raped," and he's like, "No, I'm talking about my cow." And it's like, what on earth is going on? Like these are really fucked up jokes. And even afterwards, because he's like, "When were you raped?" Like a year ago. A year? Why are you calling now? Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I need to see if I'm pregnant or whatever." And even after, he's like, "After a year, what the fuck?" And I'm just like, those are completely inappropriate jokes. It didn't even make me laugh as like, oh wow, that's like a modern comic thing. I was just like, where the fuck is this coming from?
What I would say on that scene, it's not needed. Like it doesn't move the plot forward. It doesn't tell us anything more about Jackie Chan's character. I liked how the scene was wrapped up where he took all the phones off the hook and missed the captain's off his phone. I was like, okay, that was kind of worth it. Yeah,
I liked also with the noodles that he's using like pencils. That was funny, and then
that was very unhygienic. That was disgusting.
The rubbers fell off, and he was chewing, and he's like meat. And he's like, oh shit, like he's eating the rubbers. That was kind of funny.
Food abuse. Lots of food abuse in this film, with the cake as well.
I think one thing, I'm not sure if I should have put this in directing, but I think it's directing and acting. Writing. I did not like how it ended so abruptly. Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, that isn't a wrap up. It like ended mid scene. That infuriated me when the film finished. I was like, what the hell? That's not an ending.
Because it doesn't really feel like a cliffhanger either.
It's like half in the middle of the fucking scene. Like, he's just beat the guy up and they're dragging him away, and then it stops. What the fuck? Yeah, it felt like there was something missing there.
I really like that scene though, where like, you know, he wants to kill the baddie.
Yeah, I like
the police are trying to stop him. It felt really gritty
Yeah.
and serious, and I was like, this is quite good writing here, but it's not earned this ending, which was quite annoying as well. I was like, I want to love this. Like,
I mean, you have a few moments where Jackie Chan is like, he's taken the police chief hostage. You're treating us like crap. You know, you're just putting us out into the field, risking our lives while you're getting a promotion and getting a nice desk.
we've all been there, haven't we?
You know, so there's a little bit of that where you could say it's maybe earned, but I'm not sure to the extent where he like beats the living crap out of the guy and pushes him kicks him into a trolley and pushes him away or whatever. And then it ends, you know. Before that, the lawyer comes in, you're like, oh, okay, are we going to get like more of a resolution here? But it just, I don't really understand why they did that.
Do you know what it felt like at the end, actually, where, like, you know, like the police captain shows up, the baddie's there, Jackie Chan, the witness. Is Jackie Chan's girlfriend there at that end as well? I can't remember. But the lawyer shows up. It feels like the end of a Poirot or, you know, or the end of Nights Out where everyone's in a room together and it's like, and I'm going to reveal who the killer was now.
Because you have all these kind of threads coming together and then you don't see what happens.
No.
It feels like a TV show. It feels like the end of a TV show, not an end of a film, which is strange, even though it doesn't even feel like a cliffhanger either. So,
I completely agree.
It's bizarre.
It feels like Columbo.
It does feel like the end of a Columbo episode.
Yeah, like Jackie Chan's going to go, just one more question.
And end the episode.
Yeah, and it's not even the end of a Columbo episode where he's Columbo. He's the villain that's been found out and is like dragged away, and then it ends. And then I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, the ending confused me. And to be honest, it doesn't need much to wrap it up. Just have somebody say a line, or actually put the cuffs on this guy, or he hugs his girlfriend, or something.
Yeah, I don't know whether there was some sort of like issues with money or a producing problem, because in the second film it basically starts off pretty much right from where the first one ends, and you do have a little bit of a recap thing like in Rocky 2.
So Rocky 2 was influenced by this, or was this influenced by Rocky 2?
But you know what I mean, like, I don't know, there might have been some issues there. A script that's got way too big, maybe.
Yeah, I think like the second film might have just been the first film, you know what I mean? It's just the second half of the first film.
Favorite lines, people? Mine was literally near the end where I think one of Jackie Chan's fellow cops is talking to another one, and he's to the police chief, and he says, "You have to help me with that report." When they're seeing Jackie Chan beat up the lawyer. That was quite funny. That's the only one I wrote down.
And actually I liked the continuation because he's like, you need to help me with that report, and then the superintendent just leaves and he's like, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
So he's like putting it on him. You finish it. That was quite funny.
Favorite line, Gary?
My favourite line is almost a throwaway line with a random character that's not in the film again. It felt like something out of Mr. Bean. It's when Jackie Chan comes down the hill in his car and slides into...
Oh, yeah, that was amazing.
Slides into the car park. The other driver says to him, if you stayed here any later, I'd kick your ass. Then it just pauses and he goes, nice parking, though.
That was great.
I don't know how he could do that though. Like slide it basically, you know, with the car the other way. I don't get that.
He's a super cop. He just doesn't have his life together.
It felt like I seen it with like Fast and the Furious or something.
It did. It really did.
But it did look real, to be fair.
Fast and the Furious meets Mr. Bean.
Screenplay score, Gary? What are you going for?
Oh, that's a hard one, isn't it?
You can be harsh if you want. 3, 4.
I want to give it a 7, but I'm going to go 6.8 just because there's a lot of really nice stuff with the serious things. There is actually a lot of nice comedy writing in there as well. They just don't mesh well, and that's, I think, the problem. So let's go 6.8.
Boaz, what should we go with? I think you're right. Like, I guess in terms of how like the action scenes are written, I really like that. They are very well written, for sure.
Oh God, yeah. Again, but you need to take a film as a totality. I can't just say Jackie Chan is the master of action comedy. Of course, his action scenes are going to be amazing. Yeah. He's done it so many times. But I'm not just going to give him a free pass on the rest of the writing.
I think the big issue for me is the fact that you have this amazing action scene at the start and you have an amazing action scene at the end, like a little one with a car in the middle, and that's about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of draggy stuff, not very funny, a lot of tonal shifts. So I'm thinking like a 6.5.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, 6.5. And I would say, yeah, even talking about the action, I think you're right. Really good one at the beginning, really good one at the end, a pretty cool one in the middle.
I was expecting more in the middle, yeah.
I was expecting a lot more as well. Although, the last one did pull out all the stops, but I was expecting it to be peppered out. And this is why I did feel like the middle of the film did feel like it meanders a bit, where it goes into like funny things and weird things and him trying to work out his relationship. And it just seems a bit, I think it would have helped if you'd peppered in some more action scenes where it just kind of flowed a bit better. And even with the stunts, you could have done that, because the thing that's played for laughs, the telephones. Imagine if he was fighting people while juggling telephones.
Yeah,
like that's an incredibly well choreographed scene. Just put in some action.
It's weird because if the logline for this film is basically police detective tries to keep witness safe when the baddies make it look like he's the one that's committed the crimes, right?
Yeah.
So you would think even if you have this big action scene at the start and end, it's going to be almost maybe a love story between witness and cop or something, but it's like, no, he's got the girlfriend, remember, so we can't do that. And it was like, so what are we doing then?
What is his relationship with this other woman? Yeah,
I feel like that's where Jackie Chan was trying to feed the comedy from, but it didn't quite work as well as I think he thought it did.
Yeah, definitely, with like misunderstandings between him and the witness. It didn't even really feel like they connected, that they were friends or anything, even at the end. Oh, yeah, even the tagline, like he's been framed. That happens like 3/4 into the movie.
Yeah.
He gets framed really far into the movie. Yeah. You basically just have the last fight scene left, just right after he's been framed. I'm like, that was a mistake. That is a serious mistake. Like, if that's on the synopsis, and that would be a really great plot throughout the movie of he has nobody to trust. You can't trust the cops, can't trust the legal system.
I thought it was going to happen after the bus scene, to be honest. I thought that's...
Yeah. To me, I think even that would have made the middle of the film feel less meandering. There's stuff. He's got to keep away from the cops and the criminals.
I read the synopsis as well, and see that part where he's on the bus and the baddie shows him the money of the briefcase full of money, and he takes the briefcase.
Yeah,
I thought that was the setup.
Yeah. That would have been an easy way to do it. Actually, he takes the briefcase, and then I don't know, maybe somebody knocks him out, or the guy knocks him out, and they think he's got the money from the
But even just a witness seeing Jackie Chan take the briefcase, it's like, yes, he was passed a bundle of money. So it's like, okay, he's corrupt.
Yeah, exactly.
Job done.
But no, that's not what they did at all. Instead, they had one of the other cops betray him, and then he was in turn betrayed by them, and then shot with Jackie's gun.
Yeah.
Like, way later. And actually, they had Jackie, right? They knocked him out. Why are they bothering to frame him? They could have fucking killed him. That's a plot hole surely there. They make him wake up somewhere else. Why don't you just kill him? Why do you need to frame him?
Yeah.
The plot seems really half-baked.
It does feel like an example of a script that got way too big. So acting then. The acting in the beginning is very intense. Well, throughout the whole film, frankly. But Jackie Chan gets away with it a bit to a certain extent because his action is so good. There's a moment during like the shootout where one of the cops is really nervous and wildly lets fly all his bullets. And Jackie Chan tries to calm him down. He's very intense as well. So it doesn't really work. But later on, like the nervous cop, in white, shoots a guy and pees himself, which made me laugh out loud, to be fair, which I think was intentional, I think. The acting is supposed to reflect, the cop is bricking it in an intense situation, but I'm still not sure whether it should be appreciated, or is it too over the top? I feel like you don't see this very often at all, really. I think a lot of the acting from Jackie Chan can be seen as over the top, especially in the action scenes, and he's supposed to be the calm one, but when he's been framed for murder, the cop near the end goes back to the police station and steals the chief's gun. He's accusing the top police officer that they're basically being used as pawns and risking their lives to get a promotion and a better office. And I think Jackie Chan's intensity kind of suits this situation a bit better in the film, and makes the writing a little better as well with the acting. But so I think, his style kind of works in that scene for me.
I think he definitely, even though I complain about how the comedy parts are written, generally, I do think he is a great comedy actor.
Yeah.
He does have this kind of bumbling, it's really hard to describe, kind of clownishness to him, but it doesn't seem like he's putting it on. So I still do like his comedy acting, and I even like when he's serious. I love the transition when it's like, this is now, I'm going to fucking fuck you up. Because I think this, an ever-present thing with Jackie Chan films is, in the funny bit, you almost forget that he is a threat. But it doesn't seem like, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't fit. Like, he can do both pretty well. His performance is more so to do with how he's written himself and how he's written the scenes rather than the actual performance. Because I think he is quite funny and he is really threatening. I just don't think some of the scenes gel well, But I don't even think that's necessarily him. It's even the other characters, it just doesn't gel well sometimes.
I think certainly the comedy acting in terms of physicality that works when we know it's supposed to be funny is the Michael Myers one, where he's basically where the guy is unconscious. He's pretending like he's still conscious. That was funny.
Yeah, and she's trying to phone the thing, and he cuts the telephone. Yeah, that stuff was funny.
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you that, Martin, when you were on ours talking about Whiplash, I think one of my final points was the actors don't get credit when they have to learn a skill set like drumming or that. Like, Jackie Chan has learned how to do all this fighting style, but also, as we said, using the world around him, his surroundings, the objects, and unconscious bodies and things like that he's using for comedy effect as well. He's right, he's great at the comedy stuff, but even at the end of the film when he's got the baddie and he's got is that a knife to his throat or something, I can't remember, but he looks like he's been through a war. And you believe that. It's like John McClane at the end of Die Hard. He's been through the ringer, and even though we said it, comedy, the serious stuff doesn't mix, but by the end you believe that he's been through a world of hurt and pain, and it shows in his face, it shows in how messy his hair is, his clothing. He just looks done in. And even all the other characters as well, the performances are absolutely fine. The comedy action is a little heightened. I feel like some of the dialogue is a little heightened, a little theatrical. Again, it's hard to judge on that because it is dubbed over as well, so I'm not going to take away any points on that. But no one really stood out as bad in this,
Yeah, I think it's less the performances, and it just suffers from the writing. It's more how these people are being used rather than how they can actually perform their parts. And I think a better example is, have you ever watched any other Jackie Chan film from this that has a better grasp of the balance between comedy and action? And he's phenomenal in those, and he's he's acting the same. One that I thought about at the end of this, when it's quite funny, and at the end he has been through hell, and I think it's kind of like Police Story, but I think better. Have you watched Mr. Nice Guy?
I think I've seen that. Yes, I think I've.
I loved Mr. Nice Guy as a kid, and it's like in the title, he's just a nice chef.
Yeah, he's a chef. I have seen it.
But at the end of it, holy shit! He is fucking up an entire mansion of goons. He's turned, he gets fucked up really bad. Like, that film was great, and that had like seriousness and comedy. I'm more concerned about the writing here than the performances.
It's hard to judge though, because like maybe on paper this script worked, but it's actually the directing.
Yeah, could be.
Either way, it's Jackie Chan that did both, so he's not getting away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like that last moment he has confronting the lawyer. You know, he goes to an extra level of rage and in intensity, because throughout most of the film he's very intense, but I feel like he does get to another level there, which I found quite impressive.
Yeah.
Before he does a Street Fighter move on him.
Uppercut.
Favorite performances all going for Jackie Chan, I guess. Yeah, because we can't remember the names of any of the other actors.
We would butcher them if we could.
Gary, acting score for you? I mean, and do you count like the martial arts stuff as acting?
I would say so, because like the Whiplash thing, that is acting. It's like learning how to do that skill set. It's to be able to give that performance. So Jackie Chan is like obviously mastered this through his whole life. So including that, I'm going to go high. I'm going to go 8.3.
Cool. Boaz? 8.7. I feel like when it gets to the martial arts stuff, it's incredibly impressive. But again, like a lot of the other stuff is fairly standard in terms of the emotional stuff, and obviously the comedy is a bit lacking.
I would say the only like emotional acting that I quite liked, other than anything with Jackie Chan, is the chief of police, so the one under the superintendent, who is like pleading that, you know, they can't throw Jackie under the bus. I actually really liked his acting. I was like, man, you do seem really concerned about, you know, and I like that.
8.5, 8.7?
Yeah, maybe 8.2.
8.4?
Okay, 8.5. 8.5.
Okay. Right, let's add up the scores then for Police Story. Police Story gets a disappointing 44.6. Rocky 2 wins this one. That's 2 knockouts for Rocky films on the podcast.
He's a wrecking machine!
I'm not sure. I would still think Jackie Chan would take Rocky, to be fair, in a fight.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, Gary's not impressed by that comment.
No. Unfortunately, I think you're right.
Yeah, Jackie's too fast. Yeah, probably. He's way too fast. Yeah. And plus, he'll cheat. He'll hit him with a fucking table or something.
So Rocky 2 wins this one with 49.3 points. Next episode, as John Wick Chapter 4 is finally hitting the screens. Very, very excited about that one. Another martial arts judo film, I guess. A lot of judo in that. So we'll be talking R-rated action films 2, as we have done one in the past. And we will have guests. Another returning guest from the Haven't Seen It podcast, Tommy and Tim. That'll be a lot of fun, I think. Gary, you have been amazing. This is your time again to tell us about your podcast. And where can we find you?
Thank you very much for having me again. It was just as fun as the last time. I look forward to finding a way to come on to discuss Rocky 3.
We're going to do Mr. T films.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so I co-host the Choose Film podcast, where we get a guest on every episode and they pick the film that matches the theme. So right now we are just starting, tomorrow actually, we're doing adaptation. So films based on another medium. And we have already been picked. It'll be, what we got, Lord of the Rings and The Fly and Titanic, which I guess is adapted from a true story. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see what the guest comes up with. I guess there's been many adaptations of it.
Yeah. I mean, the Titanic one's really interesting now because James Cameron himself has proved that it didn't go down like that in the film. That's kind of funny.
Also, 2 people could have fitted on that door. He's proved that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he submitted that as well, yeah.
She's evil. Rose is the villain. Yeah, I was going to say, just one comment about adaptations. One adaptation I really want to watch, because I heard it was pretty good, was a Nicolas Cage film called Adaptation. Which is like the most surreal adaptation I've ever heard of, because in the film, it's about the screenwriter trying to do an adaptation of the book, which part of the film is an adaptation of.
Totally. Yep. Well, maybe we should get you on then for adaptation with adaptation.
yeah, I think I should do that.
It's time to say goodbye, people. Goodbye, Gary. You have been amazing. Thank you ever so much for coming on. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. Bye.
And it's goodbye from Boaz. Try not to risk your life coming onto this podcast again. You don't need to slide down a massive pole. It's fine. Use the door.
Only on Sundays and only for dollar bills.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's it for part 2. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 1 if you haven't done so already. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell us what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for Twitter at FVF_podcast. If you do, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you're feeling really generous, you can buy us a one-off coffee at our Buy Me a Coffee account. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off.